Hi Staycationers, it's Marilyn Wagner here, bringing you a sample card and a few alternatives from the Beauty of Friendship stamp set. I am so excited to be able to share this set with you. It's one of my favorites out of this new catalog. So I will give you some ideas of different designs and things you can use with this as I go through. Plus, I will show you where it is in the catalog in case you haven't spotted a few things that are kind of neat with the whole bundle suite scenario there. So let's get started. I'm going to turn you down to my desk and show you what I have. Okay, so here is the new annual catalog, which I'm sure you've been through forward, backward, all different directions. And this is the set that I was talking about that I am just so excited to be able to share with you. I have, first of all, want to point out that the layout, the catalog this year has been just amazing. They're giving us a number of samples. They are giving us a suite, which means one number you can get all of the things, well, I'm going to say all the things on this page. You can get the bundle at 10%, which is the stamp set and the dies. You can get designer paper, and you also get an embossing folder in this suite. Each suite in the catalog is a bit different. Some of them have embellishments with them. Some of them have just different things, so they're not all those pieces. I want to also point out that on the stamp sets, when they have a different color like this, that means there is a die to cut them out. The dies are on, for this particular one, are on page 158. So that is this. And in the catalog, where the bundles are in the back for the dies and the punches, you also have another sample of a card made with that particular set. So lots of ideas in this idea book. The designer paper is shown both sides. This would be front and back, and I'll show you that in a little more detail shortly. And this little push pin is just a little note. Read the fine print as you go through the catalog. So that is showing you create trees with an amazing watercolor look just by cutting out the designer paper, and that's what I'm going to do on the card today. So let's get started. I will show you the pieces of the bundle first. So we have the stamp set, which when you stamp the images, this is what I like to do when I first get a stamp set, is stamp everything so I know the sizes, what it looks like, how it stamps, that kind of thing. I should have re-inked my ink pad before I did that one, and it even has a little ground piece for the tree, and I'm going to use that today. I thought it was really cute. Love the words, the sayings, as well as the fonts, easy to read. So I do that and keep it with my stamp set. Then when I get to the dies, I kind of do the same thing. I have the dies on a magnetic board, and I have 9 pieces, so I can make sure that I've got them all back here when I'm finished, because I usually have stuff spread all over the place. And I like to cut out and show the different sizes and shapes there. So I've done that as well for the dies. The embossing folder with this bundle is called Bark, and it does look like bark of a tree. So I like to keep a sample with my embossing folder. I've done this one on soft suede just to show that it does look like bark. I also like to, if I need a plate 4, I mark it on here because I can't remember if 3D, do I use this one? And the plates on the new Cut and Emboss do have a lot of information for us, but that's just my little tip that I use a little bit extra there. So that comes with the suite plus the designer paper. So you have lots of choices, like I say, front and back of all the different designs. And this is all of the cardstock colors that are in that. So when you get the package, it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Like I say, I have the one card I'm going to share with you and how to make it today does use the green, this particular designer paper, but I have some made with this, other colors to show you as well. So my card today is how to use 1/2 inch strips in your design. And I'm quite tickled with how it all turned out. So I'm going to show you all the steps. I will just clean a spot here on my desk and we will get started. So I have already cut, and this will all be in the PDF that you will get. I have 4 1/4 by 11 that I'm going to fold in half because my card is one that stands up this way. So I will do that now. I like to do my folding on a foam mat of some sort, whether it's that one or I do have the bigger piercing mat, because it seems to stay laying down a little bit better. I have my strips of designer paper cut. They're cut at 6 by 1/2 inch. I have an inside piece. No, I have this background piece, not an inside piece, that goes on. Oh, lost my little bird. Goes on the early espresso. But before we put it on there, I'm going to cut the tree trunk out of here just to save a bit of paper, and no use wasting a big sheet of paper to get that done. But I'm going to do the stamping first. So to begin with, I'll stamp on the inside, and I'm using keeping with the color scheme, using the early espresso and words from this set. Can you tell I'm holding my breath trying to get that straight? And look at that, I didn't. So that is why I always do my stamping first, because now, through the magic of not having anything else glued on there, I can turn that over and try it with the thicker pad. Hold my breath again. And we're good. Okay. Before I put the ink away, I'm going to do my little hello down here. And that one is on a separate piece of white. Yeah, pretty good. Also, I'm going to need my stamped, I don't know what you'd call that, just spots, grassy spots for the, if you're doing one for the season of winter, it would be snowfall, but it's just some little spots that I'm going to randomly place on this piece because I will be cutting and running it through the bark embossing folder. And I need, clean that ink up too, well, I need that ink again. For the bottom of the tree, I do want to put that little ground piece just near the bottom. Oh, you know what? I'm going to cut that out first so I know where the bottom of it is. So bear with me while I bring in the cut and emboss. And this is the big one. I could be using the small one, but I have this one here. So in order to cut, if you haven't seen, this comes with all the instructions on what you need for what you're cutting. I am using a die, so I'm going to put layer 2. My layer 3 plates, I have one that's designated for the bottom and one for the top. And I'm going to cut that with the third largest rectangle die from Stitch So Sweetly Dies. And hopefully doesn't rock the boat too bad. So there is my cutout piece with the stitched edges and whatever. So now I can stamp my dirt, as I call it, on the bottom. And while I have it here, I need to cut, oops, this is the bottom. I need to cut my tree out of this. And I used, for this one, I just used the smaller of the trees. You make your sandwich, and yes, you can run it forward or backward through the cut and emboss. It works well either way. So there is my layer for the backside plus my tree cutout, and there's no wastage for that. So I'll move that until I get my other words stamped, or not my other words, I get the dirt stamped on here. And I'm going to stamp it there, so when I get my tree to put on, it will be like so. I can, if I wanted to add more green, now that I have the tree to know where I have it, I could, but I think it's good. Once I put the bark embossing folder over it, not over it, but you know what I mean. Once I use it, it's going to give it a bit more dimension. So for using the bark one, or any embossing folder that is the 3D, we need to remove 2 and 3. I'm going to put my focal point in, and I want the bark running this way. But when you put it in your machine, it's got to have the fold going to enter first. I put my plate 4 on, and there is a little bit of pressure, but don't ever force it. Ooh. Because that would not be a good thing. And there we have a little bit of texture on that for us to enjoy. Okay, so now my card is coming together. I'm going to, oh, I need to cut the tree yet. Didn't do that. I have the bird cut out somewhere. There it is. Better not lose him. I need to cut the top of the tree, so I'll just show you what I did for that. Sorry, again, I do have to bring this in. And with this particular die, it fits around, but I want the lacy part, and then I'm going to cut it with the smaller treetop so that it fits on my design. So I need the cutting plates again. The 2 and 3, I have my designer paper, and I'm not worried about where it's cutting as long as I get a piece cut out of there. And the new dies now are just amazing. Force of habit, I do run it forward and back through, but you certainly don't have to, because when, excuse me, when it comes out, it is totally out of your die. Works really well. Then, because I want the smaller piece, that would look kind of silly that way. I want the smaller piece. I'm going to now pick and choose kind of what colors and where I want it. And really, I think any piece of that would be good. And I've seen, just give you another hint. You notice that I don't need these right up at the top. Probably would have been good, but they, as long as your die is totally on the plates, it will work well. So what I was going to show you was with cutting this out, this is what I'm going to use on my tree. But these pieces, I've seen people take something like this, especially with the fall one, when leaves fall, and just put it on the bottom like that, and it'll look like your leaves have fallen from your tree. So I thought that was kind of a neat idea. Okay, so this can be attached, and I will use, I'm a great fan of using liquid glue for anything that I might want to adjust placement on. So I'm going to put it on there. I am going to use my silicone mat to put glue on here because I don't want any of it coming through on my paper. And just little dabs of glue will hold that tree in place. So there, as easy as that, we have put a tree together. I can now, oh, I need to do a little more stamping by the looks of it, to stamp my background for that. But I can put my brown on here. Early espresso, we'll call it brown. Use the right terms when I know them. I don't always remember them. So that is going to be a flat layer on there. Then I will, when I get this layer built, I will raise it. I do have a smaller piece of one of the green that I'm going to put across here. Again, just for some interest inside the card. And as much as I try to cut it the right width, length, sometimes it needs trimming. But if you have your handy little paper snips here, it's quite easy to do. So there's my card base, getting there, getting there. Now, I am going to place these roughly where I want them. Like I say, I have 6 by 1/2 inch, and I'm leaving just a little bit of space in between each of them and making my own background. In order to fill the blank spots behind it, I did go in with my Mossy Meadow and put in some. You can notice on my sample that some are lighter and some are darker. So, whoa, that's not the right one. Just going to do that before I glue these on. So I've got kind of a visual that I need here, 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 here. Maybe a little bit off the paper there. Just to kind of, and you could stamp this on the inside. And I can always, once I get the strips glued on, I could add more. So I'm going to work with that now. So what I did there was I lined it up you can see through the silicone mat. And in my case, I'm going to line it up so it's square, and then at least when I'm gluing these on, they start out kind of square, or kind of, you know what I mean, right angle. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm not going to worry about measuring anything too drastic. And place my strips. And you could use either side of these. I chose more of the fall summery colors. And I did leave just a tad of space in between them. And you can also see why I am doing it on the silicone sheet, because I'm not sure where my glue is on the edges of this, and I don't want to make my surface sticky everywhere. But it's a great way. I have some of my other, whoops, let's move that one down a little bit. Must have started that one at a different angle. Great way to use your strips. I know I have been doing, with COVID happening, of course, doing lots of virtual events where I do the kits with designer paper and give them to the customers, and then do the class online via Zoom. And I have lots of pieces of paper left, so they're basically, whoops, and again, whoa, a great way to, great reason to have liquid glue. So there is my bases. Now, once it's dried, I would leave it a little bit, turn it over and trim it with your paper snips, and it's ready to mount. You've done your stamping. I quite like the background, and I'm going to move that just because I would end up, you know what, actually I'm going to put my cutting, let me see if you can see what I'm doing. My cutting pieces on there, because they do come off sticky, and hopefully that will help catch them. And when you turn the card over, it's going to look totally different. All trimmed up, just like when you get a haircut kind of thing. There, now I can move that. So there is my card front. Now, it will go on here, and my choice for that is dimensionals. I've recently started using one in the center as well, and especially on one like this where I'm going to have a center focal point on that layer. There are different ways of taking these off. I'm sure some of you know of the using the take your pick tool and whatever. Most of the time my fingernails work better than that. So having the brown early espresso behind just makes it pop. I'm going to burnish from the back side. Then I have my tree, and I'm going to use dimensionals on that one as well. And get it to stand up. And then my little bird, I see he's still there, so that's good. He hasn't flown away. I will tuck him on the tree branch and color him with Wink of Stella. So now isn't that quick and easy? Once everything's cut, it's really easy. So to use my little bird, I'm going to just put some dabs of liquid glue on the back. And then he is made to have this wing pop up. No, I should have done that first. And what I did on my sample there was tuck him over this little branch so that he is really a bird in the tree. And then to finish him, I did do a black, with my marker, a black, made an eye for him. And I thought he just needed a little bit of something, so I went and gave him a little bit of shine. I have searched for a rhinestone, a gem of some sort to use for the eye, and I haven't found any so far that are small enough in my estimation. So there is the card. Hopefully you will make some like it and share them with us. We would love to see your designs, your paper. Like I say, this is just mine with this particular paper that I have fallen in love with in this catalog. A couple other designs I've done with the same idea is one with the Christmas paper and the tree stamped once only. It is a distinctive stamp, so it stamps like that when you do it once. Just a solid one cut out behind it. The embossing of the tree embossing folder, a bit of the new gold thread that we have. It's not called thread, but you know what I mean. And some of the Christmas paper. So that one I think would be a quick and easy one that you could do for Christmas cards. And then I decided I wanted to use our new shimmer vellum. Hopefully you can see the shimmer on that. So I started with a piece of shimmer white paper and the dragonfly stamps, just for a bit of a background again. A little bit different, where I placed the 1/2-inch strips through an embossing folder first, and they turned out great. And instead of leaving a space between them like I did on the others, I butted them right up to each other. A bit of the new ribbon, a little bit of the stamp, and the words are both from the dragonfly set. So those are alternatives that you could use on different stamp sets. Then my aim for this event was to do something that we could turn into a piece of home decor. So I have put this together, and I will try to show it. You will have a picture of it with your PDF, and the glare won't be as bad. But I've taken the larger tree that we cut out, and again cut the tree trunk out of the backing, the early espresso at the back. This designer paper comes from the World of Good. Anyway, it's the designer paper that's carried forward in the catalog and works great for scenery. This, I did some embossing, white embossing for snow. Here's where I talked about using that stamp for snow. This is summer with the sun behind. And this one I tried gold leafing for fall leaves. So you can see how you can take any of our stamp sets really and work them into, I have a number of different designs I've done for a 12 by 12 frame like this. So I was really tickled with it. It's in the frame because I am going to hang it at our front entry. So those are my alternatives for you. Then I have a number of cards that I've made with the set or received, and I just want to show you what can be done. So this one's just with paper, designer paper, the little bird, a little bit of words, and I've got a strip inside. This one is the other words. I did put that on the shadow box one. And more of the fall colors for designer paper. This one, this is where I was trying to use the rhinestones for the eyes, and I think they're just a little bit too big. But more of the designer paper, another one with just designer paper. This paper is one of those that you can cut in the center, and you can have 3 or 4 on either side of this design. So that one's very similar to the first one. And then this one I cased the catalog using the smaller trees here, the embossing on vellum, the larger tree here, and a little bit of watercoloring on the back. So lots of different possibilities with that particular set. So hopefully you enjoy and share your creations. Take care.